Hey guys, welcome to a new video. So sometimes it's kind of hard to really know what you should be focusing on, like why you aren't really climbing, what makes you a silver AD carry or gold one, but me a diamond AD carry, and somebody else, the better than me, a master AD carry player, you know? It's really about the differences. So what we're going to do is go elo by elo and take a proper look at what an AD carry player looks like at each one. I think this would be kind of interesting to talk about at least, but like if you're in that elo, then after this, you'll know what you have to do better. Those people we're comparing to are going to be your competition, like who you have to beat in games, who you're going to go against. So if you can be better at areas than they can, then you're going to climb. It's simple as that. A lot of these things are really hard to pinpoint exactly because there are so many different areas in League, but I'm going to be using the Mobalytics compare feature to see what each elo looks like. The dashboard we're going to look at can like analyze games pretty much and like break them down into different areas. So as an example here, the red bit is me and a blue is master tier AD carry. So you can see my fighting is actually pretty good and on par, but I'm not aggressive enough, I don't farm enough, and I'm not the best at helping my team either. So that is what I would have to work on if I wanted to get to master. I do recommend you follow along with this video on your own personal Mobalytics dashboard to see where you're at so you can tell what to focus on, and you can do this for any single role. It will also tell you what elo you should really be at, I guess. Like there's a link below to go there and check it out, but there's also timestamps if you want to skip ahead to the elo bracket that you are in. So first up then, what does a bronze AD look like? And surprisingly, the best scores are consistency and vision, though they aren't exactly too high, and the warding one, the vision one, isn't that difficult. It just means that most high reload AD carries don't ward either. Now what we can actually see though is the weakest area for a bronze AD is their farming. That is broken into lane phase farming, so your CS is still getting gold and farm mid game, their overall creep score, and how much gold they have at the end. It's probably not that much of a surprise that farming is bad at this rank, but the fact that it's the biggest difference between a bronze and a silver AD carry, that is actually the biggest thing stopping you from climbing out of bronze. So if you're losing CS because you're losing your lane phase or getting like hit a lot and stuff, why not try starting with a Doran's shield? It helps a lot with healing and means you can take more harass while still getting farm. It isn't as offensive, but it will help you stay in lane longer and should help you get more CS if you struggle with it. The funny thing is really that a lot of like other issues that bronze players have, fighting, toughness, like how much they die, team play and stuff, a lot of that will come from a lack of gold and not farming properly. Now fighting as an AD carry is really important. That is the second worst area for a bronze AD, but that is going to be how many kills and assists you get in a game, your kill participation, how much you're involved with the game really. It's also actual team fighting, how good you are at positioning and surviving. Now these things are all much easier when you have more items and more damage. For other roles like mid lane, you can get away with fewer items and still do well because your abilities have a lot of base damage, but with AD it's harder. We rely on auto attacks. Now in team fights, your positioning doesn't matter as much if you're fed and kill stuff quickly or have gold to buy defensive items, right? So that's why getting gold is so important. So for bronze then, the biggest issue you're going to have and stopping you getting out of it is your lack of gold from CS. You need to farm better if you want to escape. Yes, you might do dumb stuff, you might die a lot more than better AD carry players, but when you have a lot of golden items, you can get away with that. Fix your farming first and the rest will come. So this is what a silver player looks like compared with bronze as well. If you're bronze right now or you're silver right now, if you want to get out of this elo, then your scores will need to be about here or better. The biggest jumps are to team fighting and farming, along with being a bit more aggressive as well. Because you have more gold, you'll be able to do more in fights. Silver is a bit less chaotic than bronze as well, not quite as much of a crap fest, so it's where most of the player base actually are really. Like most people are stuck in silver, so people have a bit of a better understanding of how the game should be played. Farming is still the weakest area of the game for a silver AD. It's better because our lane phase farming is getting there a bit, but our overall gold is going to be up as well. Playing with your team is actually important now. How many assists we get, how much we get involved in fights around the map, what objectives we're able to take. The game right now is focused around bot lane, and this is giving us a lot more gold outside of our CS. That's why our fighting skill looks better now at this rank, why we're able to do more in team fights. Positioning is not going to be that good at this elo, and we're going to die too much, but we're able to have more impact and win more team fights because we have more items. That is why our farming skill also looks a lot better here. We have more gold in our pockets, but we still need to improve our CS and especially our mid-game farming. Now people forget a lot to collect side waves once they group. They stay group, I guess. Like that means we have a massive dip in gold gain outside the lane phase and can mean we stop getting as strong as we should be. Now if you're winning fights, actually, like it doesn't really matter that much, but if we're not winning fights hard, we fall behind. That's kind of why we still need to farm after the lane phase. So for a silver AD carry trying to get to gold then, the biggest issue is still actually gold. You need to improve your lane phase farm, but mainly just our mid game to keep ahead and not fall behind. Our fighting will actually be better, but our damage is going to be pretty bad overall. One, because we have this lack of positioning in fights, which means we end up running around too much, too far back and dying. Two, because we don't have as many items or gold, we're not able to output as much damage. There are two things you can do to fix this. Learn your champion's damage, learn to attack, move or kite, and stop being as afraid. It takes a little bit of time, but once you learn when you can and can't auto auto-attack, when you can go in, when you don't have to just run away, your AD play will massively improve. Fix number 2, think about what is going to kill you in a fight before it happens. So this means you don't have to react in the moment. You already know what you're going to have to dodge, right? You're not wondering, can I attack now? Because you know either no, I can't yet because Syndra still has their ultimate, or yes, I can because Syndra just used it on our Maokai. So now moving into gold, there really is not that huge of a jump here, except you're just overall a better player and your gold farming level is much better finally. We're not that aggressive, but that's actually okay for these games. It'll become a bit more of a problem as we get towards plat though. For now, we really need to farm well, first of all, grouping with our team and team fighting, and that is kind of what gold comes down to and how you're going to climb out of it. A combination of our farming being better, and because we're team fighting a bit more, we have more gold overall, but we still need to CS these minion waves or jungle camps mid-game to really take over a game properly. Our positioning is going to be a bit better, but not amazing. It's more actually like the fighting skill looking better because we die less now because we have more gold and more damage. They die faster, but we also have gold for defensive items. Our weakest area is actually moved away from farming, but is now toughness. So this is things like not getting destroyed in games. Our opponents are going to be a bit better. Supports are going to be better at bullying us. Junglers are better at ganking. The game becomes less about the 2v2 and more about the team now, and it does become harder to survive. What this really comes down to that you're going to have to focus on is how good you are at keeping your tower alive. In rough matchups or rough games, do you tilt or can you still farm and stand your ground? How badly you tilt, you spam forfeit, and you get frustrated when games start to go badly, because remember, like, a lot of games don't go well at the start, but they turn around. It's also how much damage you're taking, how often do you get ganked, how much do you die in games now. Like, with more attention put on the poor AD carry at this level, can you handle it or do you cave? Also, are you building correctly? Do you get the right defensive item when it's needed, or do you always build full damage and you die too much? Those seem to be the weakest areas for a gold AD carry player. You won't always get the support you need from your team, but you still got to put your carry pants on and win the game. Now, if you're looking to escape from gold and getting to plat finally, then you need to make more plays around the map, either with your team for objectives or to actually just get fights. Control the game a bit more now, don't just sit back and farm. Gold AD carries are also not that aggressive, but if you are, they crack under pressure and you get a massive gold lead. It can be a really easy way to win. Your farming still needs to improve as always, but you need to roam a bit more, get more towers, and get more gold from the actual map, not just from CS. Learn to position a bit better and never give up in hard games, because you are the centerpiece of a team at this level, and if anyone can carry a hard game, it is going to be you. To sum it up, to be better than the people you play with, you mainly need to have good farm, survive in fights more, not lose your lane hard in tough matchups, not die to ganks as much, and group up. So moving on to plat, this is actually where we get to like a next level of AD carry really. This is the biggest jump. For most of the stuff we go up a bit like everything as you would expect, but now aggressive plays are the key to climbing. You know your champion a bit more now, you know your limits. People around the map will get fed more from actually being decent at their champion, so you have to do it well if you want to win. This is probably the hardest elo to adjust to, but let's break down what actually being aggressive as an AD carry means, because it's not just all about fighting. It's going to be your damage done, which is much higher now. More gold means more items, but even just in general, there's no more running from fights. You need to push your limits. You need to get as much damage out as possible. You also need to roam to other lanes. Getting that roam on a pushing mid laner, turning a gank around in the river like an invade or something, all those things to move around and actually get stuff done. You have more lane control, more trading, and bigger leads. Now remember, before, like when we have these lower ranked games and stuff as an AD carry, winning lane isn't really about killing somebody, it's about getting a big CS lead and having a lot more power, gold, and items when you come into fights. This is where we see the big switch now, where it's not really about kills, but we need to start making the enemy AD carry useless, not just making us strong. We also have to have better build paths. Instead of spending gold to cover your weaknesses like your positioning, we now need to just get better instead. It sounds kind of odd, but building magic resist means you cannot spend that gold on damage now. So instead of having like a more Mortius because Orianna's ultimate is bursting you, you should be flashing it or avoiding it instead and avoiding the damage. Sometimes defense is really needed. Don't let me like tell you not to buy it or anything, but we want to be using our gold to win the game and to do damage, not just to not lose it. Those are the biggest new elements to a plat AD carry player if you want to climb. Do more damage, funny enough, roam more, have more lane control, trade, fight more, and build better. That's the stuff you want to focus on, because that will also make you better at defending your tower and winning your lane, reducing your amount of deaths per game, especially ones which are avoidable. It will also mean you don't die to ganks as much. You should take less damage overall now because you're better at avoiding it. So to make it in plat, you kind of need to focus on that stuff, but to get to diamond, you're going to need to up your game a little bit more. Playing with your team is the first thing you're going to need to improve. It's not as important at the bottom of plat, but it's one of the biggest differences between diamond and plat AD carry players. That means roaming more and taking more towers. You need to be more aggressive, as we said, controlling your lane, winning hard, doing more damage in fights, and not dying to ganks. Winning lane, or at least not losing lane, like being able to trade and understand matchups a bit better, is really important, but also understanding early game versus late game comps. That is going to start to make a difference now. If you play Kalista and you're against a Cogmore, no doubt he's actually going to be good enough to outscale you and outperform you later. So now we get into Diamond tier, and remember, this is an average for the entire role, but Diamond 5 to Diamond 4 and Diamond 3 to Diamond 1 are kind of like different leagues really. The big things here though are our team play, fighting, and farming all jump up massively more than anything else. So up until this point, winning lane was probably enough, like where the game is 1v1 or 2v2 in your lane, but the game now is massively open and people will be ganking you, roaming, and TPing into your lane constantly. So this is going to force us to be better in these early fights with fewer items, but we're still going to have to get work done, so we have to learn how to be useful early game. It's quite hard to get used to, but it's another thing where aggression isn't as important at the early ranks of Diamond. It's hard to just crush the other AD where their team will be around a lot more. Instead, what we really want to do is focus on our farming, our ability to get gold, and how good we are then with that gold in fights. Diamond AD carries will farm like monsters really, and if you don't, you are going to be left behind. You need to be farming well early, even under pressure, trading properly to get farm, then watch the map enough to have good enough awareness to farm side lanes that are pushing into you while not dying. Climbing in Diamond is pretty hard. It takes quite a long time because obviously Master Tier and Challenger players are really good at the game. What you need to focus on though is getting as much gold as possible. Farm, towers, kills, assists, and throughout the whole game, you never stop farming. You need to play with your team a bit better. You need to roam, group, objectives like towers rotating around the map. It's not really about your lane anymore, it's about the entire map. You need to control your waves now so that you don't get ganked all the time. You need to control the lane so you can try and build a solid lead, but you at least need to not lose your tower and get crushed in trades. The thing with this is that if you get crushed, not only do you lose CS now, but you're probably going to get dove at the same time because junglers and mid laners will dive you if you lose trades and you're low. You need to have good team fighting and be prepared to deal with fed enemies jumping at you. Position properly, kite properly, and output as much damage as you can. So quickly for Master and Challenger, I can't really go too in depth with this one, but it's just cool to see what actually changes. So for Master players, the main differences from Diamond is actually you're much more aggressive again and able to dominate the lane phase because you are just that good. You understand matchups properly, you're much better at farming, and you have insane levels of gold income, which also helps your team fighting. Your positioning, your fighting, your damage output is going to be really good and strong at all phases of the game. When we get to Challenger, the difference here is that your farming is even better. As if that was actually possible, you manage to generate even more gold. You have better team play, so you group better, you have better in these early fights, you are better at objectives and roaming and stuff. You also play well in both winning and losing games. You're still able to do work from behind and you're able to carry when you're ahead. This is something as well where Cogmore, for example, is a very good late game champion, but Challenger players are able to make him work early game still. Positioning and team fighting are going to be insanely good with very few mistakes made and very high kill participation as well. So they're really involved in the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it useful and it helps you climb. Let me know how you stack up compared to your league over on Mobalytics dashboard. And for now, I'll leave you with the robots.